So last week we talked about microphones. We talked about the microphone basics, the type of microphones we have, how sound is transmitted, it is amplified, it is processed, and then how we receive. You can mute your mic. And how we get the receive, how the signal is sent as an input, and then it is received back as an output. So today we are going to talk more about wireless microphone, the transmitter and receiver, after which we will go to the intercoms, and then we will finish the lesson today. So I'll start with a revision of about wireless microphones. Now, if you need to know about wireless microphone, how they work, what's available, and which is the best that you should use, then wireless microphone basics gives just enough information to tell you about the smart decision, but not enough of the technical stuff. So we have now, what do you experience by the EV, and then the experience dedicated by and the passion. You can now see these are different kinds of the wireless microphones that we have. We have a variety of them. So a wireless microphone is a pretty sick, no wires to trip on. You remember last week we talked about all the types of microphones, corded microphones and the wireless, and we said that the corded microphones are so stubborn because sometimes they can even to trip. So the wireless microphone are very it's an advancement of the normal microphones that we used to have. So it's just you and your mic out there taking talking on the wall, taking on the wall, but that handy little mic wouldn't do anything for you without the other components of the wireless system. So we have other components, and remember we talked about the other components like the amplifier that are being used to connect the mics and even the aerials. So let's peek behind the scenes to see what really makes the wireless mic work. So as you can see, this is a basic wireless system in the globe. You can now see, let me zoom so that you can see. This is the antenna. This is what that enables transmission. So we start all the way from the microphone or the source. Microphone or the so the microphone is what that receives the sound when somebody talks. This is what that is receiving this actual audio sound, and then we go to the transmitter and then to the antenna. So when it reaches the antenna, now it is coming back to the receiver that is going to transmit this sound, and then from the receiver and then the sound system the destination, needing to reach the people that. So all in this process, this is what happens. In the microphone, there's the audio signal. And in the transmitter and the antenna, we have the radio signal. And in the receiver and the sound system, we also have the audio signal. So the basic principle behind wireless system is converting the audio signal being input in the microphone into a radio signal, and then being transmitted over the air to the receiver, and then turning it back into the audio signal that can be output to the rest of the sound system. So this is all accomplished by a fancy electronic circuit with long and complex names like programmable frequency divided controller, that is the PLL, and the intermediate frequency filter. So these are the two things that enable the absorption of this sound. So the big takeaway here is that you need two things to make the wireless mic work. You need the transmitter and you need the receiver. So the transmitter and receiver, they are very important. So what are these transmitters? We are going to discuss about them. To get a signal from one place to another, you need a way to send it. Meaning you need a way to send it. You have to need a transmitter. So corded mics send electrical impulses along the cord, but wireless mics, which are commonly referred to as cordless, use a transmitter. So transmitters and antennas are built within wireless microphones, either within the handheld unit or within the body pack. So now you can see like this one is an handheld with an aerial. It's a transmitter, and this is the handheld transmitter with you hold in your hand, and this is a transmitter you can wear in a belt. You sometimes you normally look at the policemen when they are using the radio, these radios that they are using to communicate. They can sometimes they held them, they can even tie them in the belt. So these are the kinds of transmitters that exist in history. So the microphone and source of others, and then it gives to the transmitter. So this one acts as both the microphone source and the transmitter, and then goes to the antenna, and then the receiver and the sound transmission. So once the transmitter sends the signal through the air, the receiver picks it up and sends it to the rest of the sound system. So it picks it up and sends it to the rest of the sound system. Now you can see at this stage, now these are the receivers. The receivers are now receiving that sound, or that sound that has been amplified. You remember last week we talked about amplification and processing. So once it has been processed and amplified, the receiver receives the feedback. So once the transmitter sends the signal through the air, the receiver picks it up and sends it to the rest of the sound system. So the microphone or other source. So the transmitter is there and the antenna is there, the receiver is there. So that is the sound system or other destination. It goes there. So a receiver generally has two antennas. You can see an example of a dual antenna receiver. Let me do this so that we can see all the words. The receiver generally has two antennas. Okay, language pursuits out there. Then they work together to ensure that the receiver is picking up the strongest signal possible from the transmitter. So the antenna can either be mounted directly on the receiver, or they can be mounted remotely. That is more on that later. We will learn on more on that later. So what is a carrier signal? We need to understand what a carrier signal is. So in a wireless system, the carrier signal in a wireless system, the carrier signal is the radio frequency at which you transmit your information. In a wireless system, the carrier signal is the radio frequency at which you transmit your information. So in this case, the audio that goes into your wireless mic, that is to be transmitted. So the audio signal modulates or alters. Okay. The audio signal modulates or alters the carrier frequency in a way that can be decoded in the receiver to recover the audio. So there are many types of the RF modulation, but two of the most common are the amplitude modulation. So in the carrier signal, we have amplification. We have the amplitude modulation and frequency modulation. Now, these initials should look familiar if you ever listen to radio before the exam style. Now, we normally have the ones that we normally have, the radios that we normally have these days are the FM, meaning the frequency modulation. The frequency is being modulated to bring the output. So you can see how it moves. A carrier signal is a sinusoidal wave that maintains the same amplitude, height, and frequency space over time. So one of these characteristics is varied when the carrier is modulated by the audio signal, depending on the type of modulation. Now, how does the wave modulation work? So we want to understand how the wave modulation works. So the carrier signal modulation, that is the audio signal, for example, your voice, that's transmitted to a radio signal, hitches a ride on the carrier signal, and then which actually results in the creation of the new frequency. The amplitude modulation and the audio signal determines the amplitude of the radio signal, which looks something like this. You can now see this. So this method of modulation is good for transmitting signals over long distances, now like for the radio frequencies, but in more susceptible to noise. That is not what you want in the microphone system. So the microphone cannot use that. This one is mostly used by the radio frequencies. So in frequency modulation, the carrier signal is modulated by slightly changing the carrier frequency based on the audio signal, which looks something like this. So this is the method of modulation that most wireless microphones use. So it also it allows for higher fidelity and less noise in the signal. So that is the frequency modulation. And then we go to multipath interface. So the interface, that is the interface between the receiver and the receiver and the source. Now, when the transmitter sends out a signal, the signal can travel in two or more paths. For example, if it bounces off a nearby object and reach the receiver at different times. So if the time difference is just right, the signal cancel each other out, causing the radio frequency that is to drop out. This is called the multipath interference, and it is not good. So maybe this is one path and this is one path, and what reaches the receiver is there, meaning it cancels out. So diversity is the ability of the receiver to manage the transmitted signal that arrives the multipath interface. Now, manufacturers approach diversity in different ways: through antenna design and placement, through the circuitry within the receivers, and with magic spells and incitations. Now, some receivers like the EV series have two antennas and a circuit that enables only the antenna receiving and the strongest signal to pass it through to the receiver. Now we have we can now see how the transmitter. Now, is it possible? I'm still important. That is the antenna. You can now see that. This is all about the wireless mics. And then we have something called the squelch. It's a function within the receiver that helps it filter out extra signal. It's particularly helpful when you are trying to use a wireless system. Now, in a radio frequency, that is the heavy environment, e.g., near an airport or in a building with a wireless PA system, now the squelch mutes the output of the receiver if the strength of the signals you are trying to receive is too low at the antenna, or if there is too much interference for the stronger signal. So this protects you from bursts of statistics and noise instead of sound you are expecting to hear. So now that is something called a squelch, which is very important to shut up or to put off any interference that may come in between the audible noise that you want to hear. So one way to improve the squelch operation is by adding an inaudible tone key or tone code signal. Yes, somebody is saying something. Repeat on diversity. Okay. We are here on diversity, Gasheru. We said that diversity is the ability for the receiver to manage the transmitted signal. That is, that arrives at different times. You remember we talked about the multipath. The multipath is when the sound that is being transmitted may choose to go at different paths. So when it chooses to go at different paths, maybe some will reach earlier and others will they will vary in time. So and will bring about diversity. It will bring about diversity. So the ability of the receiver to manage the transmitted signal that arrives at different times is now called diversity, e.g. the multipath interference. Manufacturers approach diversity in different ways. So this is diversity, meaning they vary. They vary them, and they are able to when they are producing these mics, or when they are coming up with these systems, like now the amplifier and even the antennas that are going to be coded together to be able to transmit this sound. So the diversity, when they deal with this, so diversity is that ability for it to be able to balance these multipaths so that it can be able to bring a consistent sound. Now, like for example, when they are making this, they're manufacturing the receivers and the antennas and these microphones, they make sure that they take into consideration that diversity, like so that the sound can reach exactly the same at the same time, so that it cannot bring noise. You remember, when they are reaching different times, they can cancel out and bring about noise. So you will not get to hear the exact thing that is supposed to be transmitted. So that is why diversity comes in and takes place to solve that problem. So the reason to have the antennas the reason to have two antennas is driven by the idea that antennas are probably not will not experience multipath dropout at the same time. So it's okay for one to have as long as the other strong enough signal. So you see that the double antenna is provided so that it can be able to cancel out to the time delay. So we proceed. I've talked about the squelch. Now with the diversity difference, manufacturers provide the squelch function in different ways. That is the in EV receivers, the squelch circuitry is built in. So you can increase or decrease it as needed. There's another one called compounding. What is compounding? It is the process of compressing a signal in a transmitter before it is transmitted. You compress a signal in the transmitter before it is transmitted. That is, for example, even in these studios where they record maybe music or even videos and video editing. So when they combine, meaning the signal is being compressed and then expanding is again is and then expand it again in the receiving end before it gets the rest of the audio system. So the net effect of compounding is to reduce the amount of background noise. So you can imagine. And now, whatever that we do, this one we even do it daily. Sometimes we say that when we are doing even this conferencing, we use microphones. We use our earphones. When we use the earphone helps in combining. So when it helps in combining, it means you cannot hear the background noise. As I talk right now, I'm using the earphones and you cannot hear the background noise. People are playing music, people are doing every sorts of things, but you cannot hear it because the earphones have already done that work. So the net effect of combining is to reduce the amount of background noise while providing the neutral sounding audio signal. So it also allows a much smaller signal to be transmitted, thereby reducing the bandwidth and the transmission uses. So that one is explaining itself. Frequency coordination. Now, when it is being transmitted and when it is being received. Now, frequency coordination is a selection of multiple frequencies that will work together in one area without interference. It will work together in one area without interference problems. So you might be thinking, wait, as long as my systems are all on different frequencies, shouldn't everything work great? Now, well, it is not that simple. A couple of things can throw a monkey wrench out. Now, that is just an explanation. So first of all, the wireless microphones produce a signal in the frequency ranges that compete against other unlicensed wireless devices and the TV channels. So with all this competition, it can be tough using the multiple wireless systems. So the digital TV channels can only make it harder to find open frequencies. Now that is a frequency coordination, meaning they are coordinating each other, meaning that when there is some ramps in the system between the digital and the analog so that it can combine and form a strong signal that needs to transmit the sound. So the frequency coordination continue. That is the second potential compilation is intermodulation distortion when the multiple transmitters operate near each other. Their RF signals can interfere with each other and generate additional RF signals at frequencies that have nothing to do with with any of the original audio signals. So in audio, when you get something at the output that wasn't part of the input, it is called distortion. So that is the frequency coordination. It is allowed or it is able to avoid the distortion. So the way to minimize this type of distortion is to pick a carrier frequency carefully so that the system won't interfere with each other. So that is an explanation of how the frequency coordination takes place. Now, frequency coordination software, these are the softwares that are in place. And one called the ClearScan, which is built in for every DAS-12 system, will automatically scan all available groups of channels or frequencies and find the group with the clearest channels. Then even better, all channels within the specific group are coordinated to play. So this is just a software that has been installed to these types of apparatus so that they can be able to control the interference. So the types of wireless mics, remember we even talked about them in our last slide. So we are going to see more about them, the types of the wireless mics. So we have, these are the most common types of the coded mics you would find. We have the handheld, we have the head one. Head one are those that are one in the head, meaning it goes directly to the ear and the mouth. And then we have the lapel. The transmitter is built directly into the handheld microphone, that is the head one and the lapel mics. Connect to a body pack transmitter. So for more information about this type of mics, we are still on so that we can see them. So the wireless mic systems. Now the wireless microphone systems range from basic to complex, steady enough to indistributable, inexpensive, or well, really expensive. You need the expectations. Now you can see the levels. We now have the entry level is the least expensive of these mics. You know, they normally vary with what they come with and the price. Now we have the entry level. It is least expensive, good basic construction, lowest output power, and then smallest number of compatible systems, e.g. now the wireless system that can operate in that location, and they come with basic limited functions for reducing the interference. And the middle level is moderately expensive, durable, plastic or light, you see, and the way it is operated. And then the moderate output, meaning it can output moderately well, and come with several functions for reducing the interference. And then the high performance. The high performance now, what are the characteristics? Is it's most expensive, good or heavy duty use, and then the highest output, and then comes out with upgraded functions. So that is all about those systems. Then which antenna do I need? Now the antenna that goes in hand with the what exactly or the needed job that it needs to perform. So most receivers come with antennas, and that will usually be all you need. So, but something, if you are working outdoors or you are in a location with a lot of interference, you'll find yourself needing a little more flexibility or power than you can get in the box. So that is the antenna. The antenna. You ask yourself. You realize that there are different antennas for television. We have the aerials for even the boxes. The TV boxes have different antennas. The radios and many other things. They have different kinds of antennas. So some antennas are remote mounted, which means that they are not mounted on the receiver. So you can place them everywhere you need to go. A good example is the FAGW, a half-wave plastic standard whip, and the SLA series antennas are also remote mounted, and the special connector treatment makes them designed for working outdoors. So some antennas such as these are directional. This means that they radiate greater power in one or more directions. So those are the antennas. Now about antenna distribution. If you are working with more than one wireless system, then this thing is covering this, I cannot see. Then the number of antennas involved quickly multiplies, but rather than using separate antennas for each system, you can often make your antenna do double or triple of that. So antenna distribution products let a pair of antennas provide signals for multiple receivers. So they can give several receivers. Like for example, what happens in the TV channels? The production is one, but the people who can receive are many. So if they enable for antenna distribution, if you have your aerial and there's a signal, a booster somewhere, so you can be able to get this, you receive this, multiple of them. Everybody having a TV and with that channel can receive that at the same time. So that is about the antenna distribution. So we have a quick review here. And remember, we talked about the squelch. We talked about the remote mounting antennas, antenna distribution products. We have talked about that. And then we come to, we have the bandwidth, the less available bandwidth, that is We have the digital TV signals and bandwidth length. We have the entry level microphone, wireless microphones, and how they come. That is just a review of what we have talked about. So the words of wisdom, these ones you'll be able to read them. You get the notes. So we are done today with the wireless microphone, and we want to go to intercoms. But before we go to intercoms, I know people have questions. Before we go to intercoms, I want people to ask questions before we finish the wireless mics. Remember, we started talking about wireless microphones last week, and we have finished it today. So I want to hear some questions or some additions or some discussions, or what you've gained or what you know that we have not discussed, maybe because you people are in the industry and you are interacting with these things one and again. Some people have even interacted with the PA systems. Maybe you can bring your experience in these PA systems that we've interacted with, something that we have not talked about here, so that others can know. Something that maybe you are asking before we can go to the intercoms. Let us take around 5 minutes to do that discussion here before we can go to the next slide. Can I hear people talk?
Hello, madam.
Yes, Salad.
How was your morning?
My morning is okay. You came in late.
Si nimekuja 15 minutes.
Umekuja 15 minutes ukapata tumeanza. Lakini umefikia.
Sasa swali yangu this is a topic of mic compare with what about receiver? Nimesoma mic lakini bado receiver.
Unajua receiver is in between the microphone. Si tumesema receiver, kwa receiver tumesema receiver and transmitter. Receiver is a component inside the wireless, the composition of the wireless microphones. Tulianza kusema we have the source, we have the transmitter, au kufikia tukiongea hiyo. We have the source, we have the transmitter, and we have the receiver. Sawa? Sasa receiver ni ile what is receiving that sound, like now the speakers and even the antennas that are able to transmit and to the destination. Receiver ni ile yenye inapokea na inapeleka kwa destination. So what normally takes to the destination, vitu kama hizo antennas, vitu kama now maybe when you are using the microphones and you are talking to a crowd of people, whatever that receives that sound is like now the hizo channels, the amplifiers that are able to transmit this sound to the destination. Destination maybe can even be a group of people. You see that?
Okay.
So we have discussed the receiving end inside the wireless microphone. It is just a channel of distribution. Sawa?
Okay.
Yes, mwingine ako na swali. Naona wengine wameingia tu saa hii. Sasa nyinyi tutawasaidia aje? Humphrey.
Yes.
Umepata hata kitu?
Napata kama mmalizia.
Sasa mbona mnaingia late?
Niko mwalimu. Napambana hapa na nito kwanza. Lakini sasa nipo sawa.
Lakini si mnaamka tu mapema. Mkijua class ni 8 unaamka mapema kabisa.
Leo kwa usingizi kalinipita lakini
so ni wewe ulilala sana, si ndio? Pole, lakini you'll get the recorded. Uzuri have recorded it. You'll get the recorded part of it. So we were talking about the wireless mics and the transmission. We are simply talking about how the sound is transmitted, the audible noise, the audible sound, the audible signal that is given by somebody who is speaking like me, how it is transmitted and it goes to the receiving end. Na tumesema the receiving end, we have some of the things that are used to transmit to the receiving end. Examples, things like the speakers, the antennas, Now the antennas are more important for the wireless mics and even the TVs and even the aerials that we have. Those are examples of the antennas. Yes, Gasheru, wewe ndio ulikuwa from the beginning. Can you say something? Maybe something nyinyi watu mme experience. Simewahi tumia the PA systems. Saa zingine kuna occasion mahali na unaambiwa wewe si ni mtu wa stima kuja hapa kwa PA. Now give us your experience in that field. Humphrey.
Hello, yeah.
Give us your experience in the field.
Okay, so like ukiwa field unajua mtu akipeana speech kuna ile echo sound inatokeanga. Sijai jua huwa inakuanga nini.
Sasa haujaijua huwa inakuanga nini, lakini ungekuwa class kutoka asubuhi mpaka last week we explained why you get that echo sound. Somebody who was there in class last week, I explained why that echo sound is normally there. What is the reason? Salad. Ama Gasheru. Gasheru.
Yes.
Can you tell us the reason? Mbona mtu akiongea kwa microphone sometimes unapata iko na echo. Si tulisema hii last week?
Yes.
Ni nini sababu?
When okay, ukiongea kwa mic, when talking using the microphone, the sound passes through many. For example, inatoka kwa microphone, inaenda kwa receiver, then inaenda kwa kila mtu. Before ipite hizo stages zote, kuna vitu, yani vitu zi affect sound. That's why mtu anasikianga echo. Before itoke kwa hiyo.
Before ifike kwa destination unapata ina hit some of the ways and this one is normally mostly wakati wanatumia the coded microphones. Wakati wanatumia the coded microphone. So what happens is when you speak, sometimes one of the reasons is you have not positioned the microphone well. Unapata mtu haja position microphone vizuri, so you can even mostly inakuanga kwa hizi zenye ziko na stands, so sometimes hujaweka vizuri to the mouth so that it can get this audio sound. So ikifika inaenda ina hit kama ni ukuta, haifiki destination kwanza, so ina bring echo before it can reach the destination. So those are the interferences, and examples is when the sound is following a different path. Inaleta distortion. So the distortion brings about the noise. Instead of taking the sound to where it's supposed to go, it brings about noise, and you cannot the destination cannot receive that actual sound. But wakati tulisema, how do we correct such problems? We correct such problems by making sure that kama ni we can, number one, kama ume realize kuna echo, sometimes you can even disconnect other microphones from kwa pins. Una disconnect the cords from the pins. You make sure that hiyo microphone yenye naongelewa pekee ndio imebaki, ama ile yenye kama kuna microphone nyingine imewekwa kwa crowd, so that it can be able for reply ama response, muna disconnect so that you can avoid the feedback. So sometimes kuna hiyo interference between the two microphones that are on, so you can disconnect it from the pins. After disconnecting it from the pins, again the next thing that you can do is you make sure that the antennae, meaning that the antennas are ziko extended and they are correct, na imewekwa karibu na dirisha ama imewekwa karibu na outing penye inaweza ona, penye inaweza ikashika the waves or the signals from the booster, ama inaweza ikashika waves from nje. So you avoid also distraction. Ukiweka katikati ya watu, you make sure that that amplification box is put in a place where there is no obstruction. So those are some of the things that you can do on the ground. So another thing apart ingine tena, something that can happen, I need to hear your experiences, because people have used these systems in school, at home, in occasions. You guys have used them and you have experienced these things. Sometimes kitu ilifanyika na ukashinda, sasa hii nitafanya aje? Peter has not spoken. Peter.
Yes.
Can you say something?
For example, when
you're in an occasion, then sound inatoka hapo kama mtu anaongea bass unapata anaongea soprano, so hapo sound inafaa kuwa balanced tumia system.
So una balance sometimes nini mixer haijakuwa balance, si ndio?
Yes.
So when you balance it unapata inatokezea mzuri. So those are some of the experiences. Anything else before we go to the next thing?
Hello, madam.
Yes, Humphrey. Yes.
So nini happen wakati mixer ina overheat?
Wakati mixer ina overheat. You know that is now electrical. Sometimes the loading yenye mnaipea is more. Sometimes may load a lot of maybe mics zenye mmeweka ama output yenye mnaweka, it is too much, more than what it can carry. So unajua hiyo sasa ni electrical. Sasa hiyo imetoka telecommunication. That is pure electrical. When the loading is too high, ama code zenye ina supply, sometimes hata code yenye ina supply ama the supply haiko na kiwango yenye inaweza ikabeba. So that is called imbalance, power imbalance. Maybe the output is more than the input, or the input is more than the output.
Okay.
So nimeona wengine huwa watumiangi hizi hawajawahi kuwa hata kwa occasion. Kasheru?
Yes.
Nyinyi hamjawahi kuenda kwa occasion? Sawa. Let us start this intercom systems. The intercom systems, mkiangalia syllabus yenu imesema two-way door something. So it is called the intercom system. So we are going to discuss this partly of it. Alafu tukifika katikati nitawapea break. You go for a discussion. Today you can take at least 30 minutes. Take 30 minutes and then we come and finish. Today we didn't have that much to talk about. I wanted you to understand very well. So the intercom systems. Now, what are the intercom systems? We realize that intercom system allows personal contact with visitors without the need of physical answer. That is the two-way door. Yani the two-way door interface. Maybe somebody is at the door, or somebody wants wants to be opened, or the door to be opened, or something. Somebody can be at the door, or the door phone is there. You call, and then somebody can even order for the door. Normally, it is programmed. You click a button and the door opens itself. So you talk before, or you communicate, or something happens in between. There's a signal happen and action happening in between the two people without somebody physically going there. So when we talk about the intercom system, it allows people or personal contact with visitors without the need of physical answering the door. So they also provide a sense of security by allowing homeowners and building occupants to determine who is at the door before letting them in. So an intercom, or also called a talkback or door phone, is a standalone voice communication system for use within a building or a small collection of buildings. So functioning independently on the public telephone network. So the majority of the intercom systems are stationary and fixed to a wall or stationed on a desk. They are simple house intercoms and intercoms developed for blocks or flats. So some are equipped with video, and its wiring can be connected to the outside. The most recent generation of intercom systems are compatible with computers and module, and they include the TCP/IP. So what happens here is in the intercom is the people, when this is on security issues. Sometimes there are areas that are very insecure. You can even install this in your house to know the person who is knocking at the door. You just they connect the interphone, meaning they are calling at the gate. They'll be calling, and then it will be video. So the moment you'll be talking at this person, you'll be seeing the person. So you'll be knowing, you will exactly know this is the person I'm talking to, so that you can let the person in, or you can bar the person from coming in. So many schools and office buildings now use the audio stroke video intercom systems that can be interfaced with the building access control system to identify the visitors trying to gain access to a locked building. So door phones. So a door phone is the most basic version of a two-way intercom allowing communication from the street to the house, with the possibility of unlocking and opening the door and allowing access of the interior building. So you can see, things are these days automated. You don't need to have a watchman at the gate to be able to be opening the door for the person coming in. So they are so widely used that nowadays they form part of the standard electrical installation. They form a part of the standard electrical installation. So, in places where there are more than one dwelling, the push plate on the outside of the building is composed of a number of buttons, usually one per flat. Video door phones feature a video installation as well as the audio. In this case, the intercom plate has the same structure as the previous version, but features a video monitor connected to a surveillance camera that allows the inspection of the caller. So in situations where wires cannot be run, a wireless system is used. There is a broad spectrum of two-way wireless communication devices that include such devices as handheld radios, outdoor wireless call boxes, as well as the traditional desktop devices. So the range of these units will transmit varies widely based on the wireless technology used. So what is an IP intercom system? An IP intercom system. So when compared to traditional analog intercom systems, the IP innovation has allowed for the development of the intensive range of the intelligent new features. So the IP intercoms offer a functionality whereby visitors' calls can be rerouted to another line should be an individual not be present to allow the access of the premises. So for example, a visitor uses an intercom call button in order to speak to sales that rings straight through in order for the sales or let the visitors in. So if the sales don't answer within the allocated time period, the system can be programmed to ring through another department. Alternatively, if you wish, you can set the system up to be allowed to allow the visitors to leave the voicemail on the line. So that is the IP connection or intercom call. So one of the biggest benefits of the IP intercom system is the scalability options they bring. Meaning the scalability options, meaning if the phone cannot be received at one desk, it can be scaled up and go to another department and go to another section, but still within the same company. So whether your IP intercom installation requires just one call point or 500 call points, you can easily expand and add all the systems as and when the needs require. So analog systems are often constricted to the amount of call stations they can hold on the system due to the extensive cabling. So when the IP intercom systems, with the IP intercom systems, your solution is more future proof. So the good thing with this IP system is it can allow even for a person to install several of them. You can install several things at the same time or call points and variety, unlike with the door intercom that we talked about. So the IP intercom call station devices provide voice, that is the IP encoding and decoding function to allow audio, voice, and control signals via the IP and the network. So intercom stations capability and button assignment can be configured to allow the simple station call function to create a group or even all station announcement for important communication. So some devices have integrated a relay, that is contact switching, to control external devices. As a trigger, this assignment can be made to create simple door access and security system applications. So the IP intercom software and apps can also be run on smartphones to provide similar communications and control functions. So the IP intercom also calls for master devices are typically fewer in number and in design in the call stations. So another good application of this the IP intercom is sometimes you remember when we had a seminar, or was it a seminar when we were launching our club last semester at the auditorium. There's a student who came with a system where he could just talk to the lights. He had coded the voice in a way that he could talk to the lights, and the lights could either switch on or switch off. So that is a good example or an application of the IP intercom to be able to give the commands to systems so that they can do what is needed. So the next one is the video intercom system. These typically have a unit that has a camera, a speaker, and a push button that goes at the entrance door. So an internal monitor unit can communicate with the entrance unit. Some systems can have multiple video monitors internally. So wireless video intercom allows homeowners and building property owners to provide secure access of control to family members and tenants. So motion detection instant streams video footage to a video monitor or a smartphone depending on which system is chosen. There are numerous features and options to consider when choosing a video intercom monitor for your facility. For example, how many video monitors need serving, the screen size of the available color video monitor, and their auto viewing capabilities. So when the resident, that is the visitor or employee, requests entry, now the supervisor can unlock the doors using the button on the monitor from the remote location. That is the volume control and the brightness adjustment can be made from the monitor as well. So this one is the one that integrates the video, meaning when the person is knocking, it can be the video can be activated and even the speaker so that the people can communicate. There's another one called the GSM intercom system. The GSM stands for Global System for Mobile Communication, and it is the world's most popular standard of mobile telephony. And even the people students who are doing projects mostly use this GSM because it's the most common and most popular these days. To use one of the intercom systems, you simply sign up for a service that uses GSM, and you take a SIM card that get when you sign up, and you place it on a slot inside an intercom control module. When someone presses the button on the intercom, it dials out on the mobile phone networks and places a call in any landline of the mobile telephone, no matter where that phone is, as long as there is a mobile phone service at the location you want the place or intercom, then you can place it there. Most of these intercoms can dial multiple telephone numbers until someone answers, so visitors at the door or gate are more likely to reach someone. So the person reached can press the key on the telephone to activate the switch and the intercom and it can be used to open the door or the gate remotely. So some GSM intercom enable you to use text message to send the message to the intercom. So this case, presently, or what is happening is people don't security issues as security issues scale up or get more and more, and people are being murdered, and so we are using technology to be able to enhance security for people. Another feature of GSM is the ability to pre-program telephone numbers into the system to certain the visitors can just call the intercom now, and based on their caller ID, so the door or gate will open. So for the GSM, it's just like the normal SIM card that you use for calling. So the intercom can save phone numbers so that when the person is calling, it can actually show that this is somebody calling. So with these intercoms, you can let in family members who have forgotten their keys, or let a delivery persons in with instructions on where to leave the packages. So it also has the advantage that you don't have to run out to an intercom to answer the door. So that is the good with the good part of GSM, because you can communicate from your phone directly. You just dial and then you just dial a number and then the intercom acts as the way it's supposed to act. So the Get Intercom systems with camera and video intercom. If you don't just want to talk to people, but you also want to also see them, then you need a video intercom with a camera and audio. There are a couple of ways you can view who is at the gate with this intercom. So one is on some of the sort of monitor and that mounts inside. So for wired systems, the gate intercom wires a video monitor. Some systems can have multiple monitors, so you can put them in various places throughout a building. So if you can't run wires from the building or gate, there is also a cell phone based video intercom system that uses a local cell phone network to send the video and the voice communication to you. Yes, Humphrey. Oh, you just found yourself, you have switched on. Okay, let me save the users again. So that is the gate intercom system. Then we also have a Wi-Fi gate intercom system. Now, a Wi-Fi gate intercom system uses a wireless router and internet connection to send images or video from your gate to the app on your phone, iPhone or Android smartphone. So you can also get a tablet PC for inside the gate. So as long as your smartphone has data connection from your cell phone provider to the smartphone, is connected to the internet through the Wi-Fi connection. So you can see these are a different or various types of the intercoms. So you can see an example of the GSM gate intercom or cell phone and cell phone network. You can see it, the long range wireless. So the GSM stands for Global System and Mobile Communication, and that is technical way of saying an AT or T-Mobile cell phone networks. So a GSM intercom is essentially a cell phone, but it is in a gate intercom form. It contains a circuit board with a cell phone modem that connects to the AT or the T-Mobile. So you can see an example is here. So the two-way radio gate intercom is here. It is weatherproof. It is extremely durable. The gate to door opening works in a two-way radios and puts communications where it needs to be. So we have these wireless systems have a much longer range than the mighty MAL systems you may have seen, and they are much more of the commercial quality. So the digital gate intercom, as we have talked about, it has the wireless. It uses the high quality, the end digital wireless gate intercoms that uses 900 megahertz digital transmission. These are a form of two-way radio technology. However, these have duplex transmission, so people can talk at the same time, like the telephone conversation. They also have noise cancellation, so they work better in noisy environments. And then the wireless gate intercom, we are now doing a summary. We talked about the IP gate intercoms from gate intercom, front gate intercom system. They are now what we have been talking about. So two-way telephone system gate house communication. Now, how does it work? When you install a new fence and a gate, you may end up with a new challenge. Now, when visitors arrive, how do they contact you or get in? Now, that is where the gate intercom comes into play. So, of course, just like other technologies, wireless products are most popular, and for good reason. First, there is no need to dig a costly trench of the wire. That can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in labor and equipment costs. So then you can also you won't ever have the line cut by the landscape people, utility companies. So once again, that end up in being costly as well. Now, There are also new benefits. No, when we are using this wireless, the two-way telephone system communication, that is from the gate to house communication. There are also new benefits that come along with the new technology like video that we have already discussed. So you can now talk to and see various visitors at the gate, and since some system connect to the internet and cell phone network, then you don't even need to be home or at your business, and you can still receive calls. So if you go wireless, the distance between the gate and the building is less of concern than it used to be. So the longer range intercom can reach out up to a mile. So that is all about now the benefits of the intercom systems. So you will be able to look at these notes and read them and actually understand them. Now, wireless intercom system among the today's major necessities, how wireless intercom systems help. So how do they help? Now, all thanks to the technology's development in the past years, owing to the wireless movement, you can depend on intercom system to quickly and successfully communicate urgent messages throughout your office, and that too without the interruption. So as the name suggests, wireless intercom systems do not require wiring. They can be positioned at any of the places inside the office space within any hassle, without any hassle, thereby eliminating the concerns of messy wireless complicated installation. Remember that the world today is going digital and we are trying to move from analog. Remember when we are talking about analog, there are a lot of wires and cables running. But when we talk about wireless, we are using now the internet. And the internet is able to transmit this audio and everything can be okay. Remember when we started about telephoning, the telecommunication and telephone transmission in the ages of the 1990s, we used to use the booths where we could want to talk from the rural areas to somebody in Nairobi. We were using the telephone booths, but these days we even we came to have the phones, and even these days we have now the smartphones. The smartphones that when somebody can even talk and you are seeing the person in a video call. So that is advancements in technology, and it has a lot of benefits the world today, and it has even enhanced security where tracking somebody is very simple. So wireless door system intercoms an improved version of the wireless counterpart. I've already talked about this where we use the GSM phones. So up to that point, I want to leave you there, and so that we go for a discussion. Residential intercom security. These are the call boxes for the security boxes that can be able to call for